I'm a Real Life Trucker is a podcast series presented by appsfortruckers.com in association with livetrucking.com. We interview professional drivers about their lives, their jobs, and various views about the industry. Interviews use first names only and no company names so that drivers can feel open about their history and views. This is Tim Spence with Apps for Truckers, and you're listening to
I am a real life trucker.
episode number 3.
My name is James, and I'm 41 years old. I live in Southeast Texas, and I deliver building materials.
So, James, tell me about how you grew up.
Well, I grew up as the baby, and both my sisters are 9 and 10 years older than me. So by the time I kind of knew what was going on around me, they were pretty much wrapping up high school and moving on to college. So didn't really have a lot of time to hang out with them, but we do still talk and everything else. We're probably not the tightest knit family. My mom and dad are still around, still doing good. I go visit them once every couple of months whenever I get the opportunity, and everybody seems to be doing fine and moving on. It's a white collar family for the most part, doing insurance work or some real estate.
So how did you get into trucking?
Well, lived in Texas most of my life. I spent a little bit of time away in my 20s, but besides that, I've been home, and pretty much any part of Texas is home. Grew up in North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area, moved a little bit southwest of there. Didn't even think about truck driving. Wasn't even on my radar. My dad was an insurance agent, and I figured I'd probably be an insurance agent as well. And then I thought, no, I want to do something different. And I still didn't think of truck driving. But I worked in a warehouse at a theme park up in North Texas. I remember a big truck came in for a delivery, and they couldn't deliver in the usual spot in our warehouse. They had to go around to the front of the theme park. It was a great big video game that had to be offloaded with a lift gate. And this truck was so cool, and we had to go around to the front. I'm like, hey, man, can I ride with you? I was 17 when this happened. And he said, yeah, come on, let's go. So I rode about a mile and a half with this guy, just around the block, kind of big block. And I was like, this is a really cool deal. To be able to do this for a living, it's awesome. Didn't think about all the time being gone, and as far as I knew, the guy was home every other night, but that was not the case. And moved into just warehouse work for that 17th year and into 18, and then left the theme park to go work at a transportation company, LTL, in Dallas. Worked on the dock there for a little while, and they had what was called the yard jockey or the switch mule or the hostler, depending on where you're from, and I wanted to do it. So every night when I got off my part-time job unloading the trailers, they'd let me hop in the yard jockey and ride along. And then after I kind of figured out what you're supposed to do, they let me drive it a little bit. And that's kind of where it all began. I was like, this is kind of neat. And there's a lot of characters that work there too. And it was a lot of fun.
So how did your family feel about you getting in the truck and rolling down the road? Well,
my mom and dad at first were a little concerned. A great big truck, it's a scary thought. It's a dangerous job, and it is. Getting out of bed can be dangerous. And I tried to frame it to them like that. You're hopping in a car going down the road. It's just as dangerous, if not more, for you than it is for me in the big truck. So after a while, when they realized that I was able to do it and do it well, and showing that I was very safety oriented and made sure that I was not distracted by things and whatnot. And they never rode with me. They just always hear the stories that I tell them, the things I've seen and whatnot. And they're really at ease with it now. It's not even a concern of theirs. They know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm doing it right. And I don't really talk to them a whole lot about it, to be honest with you.
Why is that?
We talk, but it's not. We never talk about work stuff.
Since we've talked before, I know that you're married, so how does your wife feel about you trucking?
Yeah, my wife is okay with it. She's okay with the fact that I'm home pretty often. I may spend 1 or 2 nights on the road. The rest of the time, I'm home each night. I've got weekends off, and it's a good fit. It would not be a good fit if it was your standard over the road, 2 weeks out, a couple days at home, that kind of deal. That's what it was when we first met, and I gradually got it down to where I'm at now, where I'm home fairly often, and it makes a difference. It really does. I mean, the pay may not be as high as some of the guys that are running and gunning, for weeks on end, but that's the trade-off. I get a little bit of home time. I get to see my son as he's growing up. He's going to turn 7 here real soon, and it's good for him to see his dad. That's just how I feel about that.
So what do you like to do outside of trucking?
In my spare time when I'm at home, I like to play with my son, help him with his homework, and play catch, frisbee, the usual dad things, I guess. Take him out fishing. I like to fish occasionally, not as often as I'd like, but I get it done. Make some videos every once in a while, just throw some videos out there for people to check out. Just learning about photography, and it's interesting stuff to me.
What about your favorite places to go, to travel to?
I guess, my favorite place of all would be, or favorite place, well, it's Texas. But no, the favorite parts of the state that I like are, if you come out of Brenham and you run down towards LaGrange, there's a little side road, Highway 237. It goes through Round Top, just beautiful country down through there. And then through LaGrange down to Schulenburg and I-10. It's really nice, especially if you get there early in the morning. The sun's just starting to come up, and it's gorgeous. That area around New Braunfels Green off 35, go to the truck stop, and then if you have the opportunity to get a cab or get a few guys together and grab a cab and take off for Green and go check it out down there. It's a nifty historic town, has a dance hall, good food, and try to break free from the truck whenever I can, even though I'm not in it as often as a lot of guys.
Moving on to the industry, what is, in your opinion, the public's perception of truckers?
I think the public perception of truckers is not the best it could be. There are those out there that know what we go through, but they're few and far between. There's a lot of people out here that just don't understand. Even in this day and age of social media, sometimes that can be more hurtful than anything, because there's lots of bad images that are broadcast instantly of things that trucks are involved with, whether they were at fault or not, and it doesn't help. So getting a good image out there is paramount. We've got to all do that. Just positivity is the key, and just let people know, we're not the bad guys and gals out here. We're out here doing our job.
If you were to name a number one problem in the industry, what would that be?
The number one problem that I see is turnover, and the turnover that comes with the drivers not necessarily getting what they deserve when it comes to pay or home time. In that area, people jump from job to job for a reason, and it's not because it's fun and it's a nifty thing to do. Oh, I want to try a Peterbilt this week, and next week I'm going to get into a Freightliner. That has nothing to do with it. There's something wrong with the company or with an individual at the company running dispatch or whatever it is that is not helpful. And these guys, that a lot of them get promised the moon. We'll do this and this and this for you, and it never materializes. So that the turnover issue needs to be addressed, and whether it be through pay or benefits or combination, or just a better understanding between the driver and those that are in the office, we need to get to that point at some time where everybody can be on the same page.
Seeing that turnover is an issue, what do you think the secret to driver retention is? Driver retention,
you get driver retention when you have a happy driver. And your happy driver, like where I work, I am a happy driver because they allow me to do what I need to do when it comes for home time. The pay is good. It's not the best, but it's good. And that's kind of the trade-off, which I'm okay with. And, just when the driver says, hey, I think I'm going to sign on with you guys, and you say he's going to get this, that, and the other, that needs to be taken care of, and no false pretenses. So your retention really comes from, practice what you preach. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you this. Let's make that happen. I mean, there's so many people just getting tossed around from one company to another, by their own doing for the most part, that, if you can get longevity, it helps everybody.
So what are your thoughts about the future of the industry?
Future of the industry is going to be interesting with all the new technologies coming out and driverless trucks in the future, and could be some teleporting freight. I don't know. That's a little out there. But in my lifetime, I think it's going to stay pretty much the same. The trucks are going to start looking a little more space age and aerodynamic and what have you. And there's going to be more electronic features and more electronic tattletales if you're not doing the right thing. And that's going to be kind of an industry-wide thing over the next, 20 years. I mean, I may have 20 years left on my clock to drive a truck. It may be less. I wouldn't mind if it's less, but this is the one thing that I really am, without tooting my own air horn, pretty good at. I haven't had any problems out here in over 20 years, so, I'd like to keep it that way for the balance.
What is your definition of success in trucking?
My definition of success in trucking would be finishing your career on a high note, whether you're out here for 5 years and you move on to something else, or you're here 35 years. If you get to the end and you don't have any, collisions or altercations or whatever it is, or however you want to put it, if you have a good, clean career front to back, I mean, that's what I go for. And that's what I would feel best about when it's all said and done.
Knowing what you know now, what would you tell James from way back in, 1992? What would you tell him about getting into this industry?
If I could tell the 1992 new to the transportation industry James, it would be that it's a long road. It's a very long road. There's lots of, not to get all, analogy-wise and whatnot, but I mean, it's a road full of potholes and loose gravel and whatever. Let's move from that. Let's just say that it is a job. It's a hard job. It's a career, and you got to roll with the punches. I mean, it can be tough. I mean, it all depends on where you land in the industry. Are you going to be just a standard over-the-road driver? Are you going to run a gravel truck? Are you going to haul building materials like what I do? I mean, there's so many different aspects to the trucking industry and so many different avenues that you can take in the industry. Just choose wisely. Think before you jump into a particular level of trucking, hazmat hauling, what have you. Just, research it thoroughly. I don't have any regrets that I can think of. Maybe one here and there, but I mean nothing that really stands out like, oh, my life is ruined now because I did this back in 2000 or anything like that. Just be patient and learn everything as you go. Learn the best you can.
One more question, James. What kind of legacy would you like to leave?
How long after I'm gone from the trucking industry, wherever I may be, I hope people look back and say he was a good driver and he got the job done. And hopefully they look back and see the videos that I've made and say, those are pretty good. They stand the test of time. It's a snapshot of history that there's this time that these videos were made and locked in a time period where people can go back and watch them again and again and say, yeah, that's how it was. That's how it was.
Well, that is how you would like the industry to see James. How would you like your family to remember you?
I want my family to remember me as a guy that did the very best he could with everything, whether it be on the side of doing a job or just being the family man, just to be there to guide, to help, to instruct, and just be the guy, be the good guy. I always want to be the good guy. I never want to be the bad guy.
Just like the old westerns.
Yeah, black hats, white hats.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Real Life Trucker. If you would like to be interviewed for this podcast series, you can get in touch with us in one of two ways. The first is go to the website and fill out the online form. Once you hit submit, it will come directly to us. The other way is, of course, to hit our voicemail line at 615-669-9478 and leave us a message there as to when the best time to contact you is. Until then, be safe, and we will see you on the next podcast.